Hello, my friends with Spasmodic Dysphonia. It's been several years since I've posted a video, and I've had folks write me, contact me, and ask if I'd post a video with an update of how I'm doing with my voice. And as you can hear, I'm speaking freely, clearly, without any struggle. My journey with SD began about the year 2000. Within 5 years, I was struggling greatly. I went through the routine of all the doctors and the experts and voice rehabilitation and therapists, and no one could help me. Said my voice would only deteriorate, would never get better, probably just get worse. Botox was a temporary option, which I tried, and it was not successful. And I found Dr. Morton Cooper on the internet and went out and visited with him. Actually lived there for a month. He told me on the phone, I can help you. It'll cost $4,000 per week, and you need to stay 4 weeks. And so for $16,000, I went out and lived in LA. Spent basically 5 to 8 hours a day in a closet humming. And I thought to myself after about the second day, I could have done this at home. And I'm spending $4,000 a week to sit in a closet and hum. And some of you who watched my videos may have tried the humming. And after humming for a few hours, 1 or 2 days, you begin to think, is this really something that's helping me? And it's very tiresome. It's something that's boring. And I knew that if I was at home humming, that most likely I would quit. But since I was paying $4,000 to sit in this man's closet and to hum, I hummed, and my voice improved. And at the end of the month, I was much better. But certainly I was not cured. And basically what I learned was that the things that I needed to do to be able to overcome this. Dr. Cooper explained a lot of things to me. The application was missing in his practice. That was the most frustrating thing. He would explain and it would make sense, but applying that to me physically wasn't as easy as understanding. I mean, he would say, a car doesn't run without gas. You cannot speak without airflow. And okay, that makes sense. And then he'd say, well, then you need to breathe. And I would constantly say to myself, why does he tell me I need to breathe? Because if I weren't breathing, I'd be passed out on the floor. You know, obviously I'm breathing. But what I came to understand was people with SD become experts at speaking without actually allowing much air flowing through the vocal cords. We think we're breathing, take a deep breath, and then start to talk. But what we do is immediately we tighten up our vocal cords and our windpipe, and we begin to have the strangle, and we have the problem we didn't even know. We felt the tiredness in our abdomen, the exhaustion of trying to speak. Didn't really understand that. And it wasn't until I got back home and started exercising to make myself breathe while I was speaking that I really began to understand things clicked for me, what I needed to do. And as you can hear now, there are going to be people that are watching this that are going to be going, and I've heard it, well, you never had spasmodic dysphonia. Well, you keep believing that, and you keep on just living in your world of gloom and doom and no hope. Because I was there. I've been where you've been. what I determined was if I could speak one word clearly, then I could speak two words clearly. If I could speak two words clearly, then I could speak three words clearly. If I could speak one sentence clearly, then I could speak two sentences clearly. If you have times where you say a word and it's clear, what was the difference between that word and the next word that's not clear? Something changed. And most likely the change is going to be when it comes to either your pitch, your airflow, or both, a combination of both. And when I talk about pitch, people with SD have a tendency to let their voice drop down. We have a serious voice, and we end up staying in that serious voice, and that's where we start to get the gravel and the tightness, and we need to bring our voice on back up. That's one of the first things that I learned from Dr. Cooper was the pitch. He had an exercise where you find your voice by pumping your abdomen, okay, just below the sternum. And when I speak while I'm doing this, and that's the pitch. That's the normal pitch that should be coming out of my head. And we have a tendency to change our pitch, though, based upon the circumstances. We have a telephone pitch. We have the serious pitch. We have the talking over the communicator through the drive-through, the speaker at the drive-through. It's a different pitch. When we're in an atmosphere of jocularity, it's a different pitch. When we're talking to children, the little babies, we tend to change our pitch. And so you can hear when I change my pitch to talk to the little babies, it tends to come out clearer with more ease. And we don't necessarily understand that that's what's happening when we're struggling with our SD. You've got to allow the air to flow. Dr. Cooper kept telling me that and made sense, and I believed I was breathing. They even bought a belt to put around me to tighten it up real tight to make my stomach, so when I breathe, it would force the air back. That didn't work. Don't do that. Don't waste your money. That didn't work. But there was another patient in the office with me one week. It was a woman who was struggling. And he had her stand up against the wall, and he was telling her, "You've got to breathe." And she would say, "I am breathing." And he says, "You've got to breathe." And he put his hand against her stomach, and he said, "Now speak." And as she began to speak and struggle, he pushed her stomach in real hard, and she said, "Whoa, what are you?" And her voice was very clear. Why? Suddenly there was great volume of air coming through her vocal cords. We think we're forcing, we think we're breathing, we think there is plenty of air, natural amount of air coming out. It's not. For the majority of us, if we have that strangled voice, it's because we don't have enough airflow. Now, here I am 22 years later, and does that mean that I never think about it? Most of the time, no. But there are times where, like if I've had a lot of caffeine, if I'm dealing with a stressful situation, if I'm dealing with something very serious for a period of time, there are times when I can feel the demon trying to come back. My wife, she notices it. I preach. And so there have been times when I've finished and on the ride home, she'll say, "I noticed a struggle in your voice this morning or this evening." And she'd be right, because I noticed it too. But I was able to control it. Now, what do I do to control it? This is something that I think will help no matter where you are in your progress, whether you're beginning to try to do something or you've had some improvement. This helped me. Okay? Understand, I'm not a doctor. I haven't even played one on TV. I did stay in a Holiday Inn Express one time, but this is what I do. This is what has helped me. So if I feel that strangulation coming on, then what I do is I'll practice. I won't hum, and sometimes I hum. But here's what I've determined I need to do more than anything is I want the airflow. I mean, you can't hum without airflow, but I want to be able to speak with airflow. So I'll recite my alphabet, and I'll say A, B, C, D only instead of just saying A, B, C, D, E, F, G. I force air with a A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, or I will speak in sentences where I know I'm forcing air out. You hear the difference? Forcing the air out. That's what you've got to have to be able to speak. A, B, C, D, or I can change the pitch. A, B, C, D. The important thing is just make sure that you have the airflow. That is what that was my biggest obstacle. Strangulation. Why is it strangled? Air's not getting through there. People can talk about how, oh, it's all in your head. It's a mental thing. It's something that you know that it's just, yeah. That's one of the things that I don't like about some of the spasmodic dysphonia organizations is they also want you to swallow the no hope pill, that you can't ever be cured, that you can't ever get over it. Baloney. I'm living proof. But it takes time. Some more time than others. I've been contacted by people all over the world from watching these videos. And some have written back or called back. We've FaceTimed, and they're much improved. Others, they drop off the face of the earth after the first call when I give them the instructions of what I did and what they need to do. And it's like I've said in some other videos, the reason why many people with spasmodic dysphonia will never overcome their spasmodic dysphonia is because they're just too lazy. It's boring. It's hard. It's frustrating. And so you quit. Then you have become a prophet. I can't do this. That's right, you can't do this. You have self-fulfilled your prophecy. You can't do it because you've determined you can't do it. I decided I could do it. You can speak one word clear. You can speak 2 words clear. You can speak 1 sentence clearly. You can speak 2 sentences clearly. Why is it that you walk through the store, and I used to do this, I'd talk to myself walking through the supermarket, and I'd be saying, okay, I can talk. There's no problem. My voice is nice and clear and strong. And somebody would walk by, and they would speak to me, and immediately, instead of being able to speak like this, I go, hey, dude. Strangled. Why? Because I quit breathing. I quit having air. The tension was there. The stress was there. I expected my voice to strangle. And so I strangled. How you doing? Hello. How are you doing? Make sure that you have air flowing. Exaggerate it while you're practicing. Your body, your mind, whatever, it all clicks back in. And after a while, you'd stop needing to think about breathing. I remember those times. Instead of thinking about what it was that I wanted to say, I was thinking about, how am I going to say it? Am I going to be able to say it? That's in the past. I don't do that anymore. You don't have to do that anymore. Don't swallow the no hope pill. It can be done. I'm living proof of it. If you'd like to contact me, talk to me, send me messages, want to FaceTime, I'll be glad to do that. I'll be glad to visit with you. Like I said, I'm not making any money. I'm not prescribing any medicine. I'm not a doctor. I can only tell you my experience and what worked for me, and I'll encourage you. God bless.